Hey guys, Matt Cobb here with Open Door Baptist Church, coming to you with another daily devotion, picking up in James, at least if you're following along with some of the things I've been doing. I know Pastor Andy's working through Romans, and there's a lot of great stuff with that. And we're kind of, if you're following along with what I'm doing, we're working through the book of James. And there's a lot of good stuff. Last week we talked about changing lenses and looking through things with the perspective of heaven. And that might shift and change the way that we view trials, temptations, and those kinds of things. And then when we pick back up in verse 5, so in James chapter 1, verse 5, and I think we're only going to get through this one verse because it's got so much great stuff in it. It says, if you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. Now, if we break that down, that first part, if you need wisdom, I can't tell you that James is like this, but to me, it kind of seems like James is putting it out there. If you need wisdom, like who doesn't need wisdom? So it's really not even a conditional statement of if you need. We all need wisdom. And it says, ask. So far, there's so many times that we're in life and we need wisdom, but yet we just think, oh, we'll figure it out on our own. And what James is saying is ask God. When you encounter a time that you need wisdom, ask God. But it's not just ask God, it's ask our generous God. You see, there's an element that God is so giving. He's so abundantly merciful, abundantly giving. He wants to give you good and perfect gifts, and that's going to come later. But that God is generous. He doesn't give you just a little bit of wisdom. When you ask for it, he can give you a lot because God is generous. But you have to ask. And then I love how there is a promise that's connected in this verse as well too. It says, ask our generous God and he will give it to you. It's not a maybe give it to you. It's not a he might give it to you. If you've done the right things, he'll give it to you. He says, ask and he will give it to you. That kind of makes me think back in Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus is saying, ask and you will receive. Knock and the door will be open to you. Seek and you will find. There's this conditional thing. When you ask, God will give it to you. That we have the responsibility to do the asking, and then God kicks in with that promise and says, I'll give it to you. And I think James kind of just throws in this little extra bit here at the end, and he will not rebuke you for asking. And I think that's because sometimes we feel like we shouldn't ask God. Like we should have figured this out on our own already, that God's going to just hear us one more time and go, well, that crazy Matt, he's coming to me for wisdom again. Well, I'm not doing it this time. And God's not like that at all. God is so generous and he will give wisdom. He will not rebuke you for asking. So my encouragement to you today, guys, is if you need wisdom, how about when you need wisdom? Ask our generous God and he will give it to you. And he won't rebuke you. He won't put you down. He won't make you feel bad for doing it. You see, Satan is the one who condemns us. Satan is the one who brings shame into our lives and makes us feel like we're not good enough. That's not God. God will not rebuke you for asking for wisdom. So embrace it. Ask God for wisdom, knowing he will give it to you. What are you asking God for? He'll give it to you. Ask him for wisdom, and you'll be surprised what he'll give. Have a great day, guys.